Hello everybody, welcome to our first video lesson on ukulele. So if you have taken ukulele with me, you're going to notice the slides are a little bit different. The way that we learn is going to be a little bit different than the way that we learned in the classroom, and we'll go from there. But the information for the most part, well, the information is the same. So today is part one. We're going to talk about the ukulele background, how to hold it, how to strum it, and your first two chords. So the ukulele is from the Polynesian Islands, and it was developed from a Portuguese instrument called a machete de braga. And a machete de braga was brought by Portuguese explorers in 1879, and the locals made some changes to it and named it the ukulele, which actually translates roughly to jumping flea. So if you look at the little sun here, that's Portugal, and they went wee, and they went down, and they ended up in Polynesia. They also, some explorers, and the explorer in particular that brought the machete, went down and around the Cape of Good Hope and through. So these little islands that I tried to make look like volcanoes are where the Polynesian Islands are. So here would be Hawaii, it would be like this little dot. Hawaii actually is closer to Japan than it is to the United States, fun fact. And more islands down here that are known as other Polynesian islands are down here more in the middle of nowhere. But they're wonderful, and they gave us the ukulele. While we're on that, it is not a ukulele, it is an ukulele. And the reason that we say ukulele and not ukulele is that ukulele is the Americanized version of ukulele. Somebody decided that ukulele didn't sound right, they didn't like it, and so they mispronounced it, and that has been a long time. It has been mispronounced, but it is a word in another language, so we need to pronounce it correctly. Therefore, ukulele. 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 Ukuleles come in a variety of sizes. So ones that we usually play in class, the ones that the school has, are soprano ones. So they're pretty small. You can also find concerts. If you are playing one that you have at home, the likelihood is that you're probably playing either a soprano or possibly a concert ukulele. And tenor ukulele is what I'll be playing on when you see me playing here, and it's quite a bit bigger, which means it has a lower sound. There's also baritone ukuleles. These are tuned differently than the other ukuleles. So if you have a baritone ukulele, you need to find the tuning for that. They're not very common, so the likelihood of you having one is pretty low. And there's also pineapple ukuleles, which are just like a soprano ukulele with a different shape. So let's talk about the different parts of an ukulele so that when we're talking about it, we know exactly where we're looking. So first we have our headstock. So the headstock is the part that holds all of these wonderful spinny things. Now, if we were in class, I would tell you, don't touch the spinny things. You're going to need to touch the spinny things at home. You should tune your ukulele every day. If you don't already have a tuner for your ukulele, I highly suggest an app called Guitar Tuna like the fish. And they actually have an ukulele option in there. It's really easy to use, and it talks you through exactly how to have it in tune. If it's not tuned yet, pause the video, go tune your ukulele. So top piece here is a headstock. These are our tuning pegs. These are going to allow us to tune the ukulele so that it sounds good. And this piece right here, on mine, it's black. On many, they're white. It's thicker. That is our nut. That's what's going to hold our strings to stay in line. Moving down the ukulele, we have frets. That's the spaces in between. And fret markers. That's the little metal pieces that a lot of times get referred to as frets. That's incorrect. These are fret markers. The frets are the space in between. Why is that really important to know? Because when we're playing a note and I say third fret, it can be third fret up down here, third fret up here, right in the middle, as long as it's in that fret. If you're pressing on the fret marker, it's not going to sound good. And then the neck is the whole big long thing that holds all of the frets. All right. The body of the ukulele looks like a body, convenient. And it's what holds our sound hole to allow the sound waves to bounce around inside and amplify, as well as the bridge, which holds the other side. On ukuleles, unlike many guitars, we tie our strings on. Lots of guitars now, you don't tie them on. You actually have them with little metal pieces that catch. Some classical guitars you still tie, but ukuleles are almost all tied. Okay. And like I said, the body. The one thing I don't have on here, because to be honest, I wasn't sure how to label it, the strings. We know what strings are. Your strings are either going to be made of plastic or nylon. It depends on the ukulele and where you got it from. I will say right now, if you got your ukulele recently from an online retailer, aka it comes in a box, your strings are going to be really out of tune because they need to stretch out, which means you're going to tune them. And then within about 5 seconds, you're going to have to tune them again. So don't let that frustrate you too much. Just keep on going. The strings have to get used to being stretched out and they have to be able to start settling. Okay, if you bought one from a music store, they typically do that step for you. So let's talk about our strings. We have strings, and just like the guitar, we count them from the bottom to the top. So string 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, string 1, string 2, string 3, string 4 from our hip to our chin. And our ukuleles should always point the headstock to the left, and that's going to allow our left hand to do all the work up here. When you're watching the video, think of me as a mirror. All right, so how to hold it. There's a couple different ways to hold an ukulele. The most typical is up on the chest, and your arm here is going to give it a little bit of support to hold it. Okay, pretty easy. What I will see a lot, and what you'll see from me, especially when I'm playing my tenor, is that it'll be down on my lap at more of an angle, almost like an acoustic guitar. If you're playing a soprano, it's got to be up here. If you're playing a concert, a little bit the bigger one, having it at an angle is okay. Having it at a little bit of an angle is all right because it's quite a bit bigger. Okay, strumming. Two ways to do a basic down strum. Right now we're just going to talk down strums. You can either use your thumb. I like have my fingers here, but I should have my fingers curled. So you can use your thumb or your finger. These are both correct, and they're just different ways of doing it. Personally, I like my thumb. Other people feel more comfortable with the finger. Give it a try in a couple different ways and see which one you like better. What we'll do before we move on is with our left thumb on the back, but our otherwise left fingers floating around here, we're just going to do a couple of strums together. Let's do thumb strum first. Let's find out which one you like better. 1, 2, 4 strums. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Let's try our finger now. 1, 2, 4 strums. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Which one did you like better? Sounds good. So we need to know some things about our left hand. Our left hand has a thumb and 4 fingers, and we label that thumb and 4 fingers as follows. The thumb is a thumb. I know, it's crazy. Finger 1 is our pointer finger, our index finger. Finger 2 is our middle finger. Finger 3 is our ring finger. And finger 4, yes, we use our pinky sometimes, is our pinky. Thumb, 1, 2, 3, 4. Why is this important? Because different chord structures require different fingers in each fret. So if we have the wrong finger in the fret, we're going to find that it's a lot tougher to switch to our next chord. I'll give you a quick example. Our C chord requires us to have our 3rd finger here. If we get lazy right off the bat and we use our 1st finger because, oh, my 3rd finger is starting to hurt, to get to our next chord, A minor, with our 2nd finger is going to feel really awkward. But if we have our 3rd finger, bringing our 2nd finger up is going to be really easy. So even though it might feel weird to use your ring finger for our 1st chord, you got to do it. All right, so chord charts. Sorry guys, I know I'm going through this pretty quick, but I also know that if you're watching this, you've probably already got these basics down. If not, feel free to pause the video and practice whatever you need to or go back. So chord charts look like these. They look like this here. And our chord or string name, is high G, C, E, A. Listen again. High G, C, E, A. All right, so when we're looking at a chord chart, it's as if we're looking at it backwards. So our top string is most to the right, because in English and in French as well, we read from left to right. We read from left to right, and we're strumming from top to bottom. All right. Now, when we're doing ukulele here, I'm going to take this opportunity to teach you guys a little bit of music theory as well. So we have on our open strings on G, C, E, and A. So if you don't have a guitar tuner and you don't want to get the app, but you have a piano, you can always tune by ear. It's a pretty difficult skill. So if that's tough, don't worry about it. The app is there to help you. But we have G, C, E, and A. And if I was to put those all together, we would have a chord like this. This is also known as an A7 chord. So that means that we have 4 notes. That's why we call it a 7. I know, it sounds weird, but a 7 is the interval between the lowest note and the highest note. So we have an A7 chord, and A is our bass note. Even though it's at the top here, if we were to move it down an octave, we would see it's the bass note. We'll get more into those intervals and chord structure on some other ones, though, that are a little bit clearer. So for our ukulele unit lessons here, we're going to focus mostly on pop songs. And our pop songs, almost every pop song in the world, is made out of 4 chords: C major, A minor, F major, and G major. That's right, 4. 4 chords make up all those pop songs that you guys love to hear. So let's start learning some. The first one we're going to learn is C major. Now, we know that our notes, we have G, C, E, and A. But in C major, there is no A. In C major chord, we have the notes G, C, E, and then we have another string here. That A can't be an A. So let's count up, knowing each fret is a semitone. If this was an A, then here would be an A sharp or a B flat. The next one would be a B. And because there's no such thing as a B sharp, we go straight to C, which is part of our C major chord. G, C, E, C. All right. And we're going to use our 3rd finger for that one. So our ring finger is going to go on our 1st string in the 3rd fret. And if we look at the chord structure here, we can see that it fits a lot nicer. We have our C here and our C here, an octave apart from each other. Our 4th string is kind of just another little C to really round it out. And the reason that this is a C major and not a C minor is if we look at our key signature, we don't have any flats or sharps in C. So if I was to take this E, note and we were to flatten it, we would actually have a C minor chord. But in this case, C major. And what you need to know for C major is that we have the notes C, E, and G in it, in any octave. And for our ukulele, 1st string, 3rd finger, 3rd fret. Let's do 4 of those together. 1, 2, 4 down strums. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest, 2, 4 down strums. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. If you're getting a sound like this, it's because our finger is not pressing down hard enough. So your finger, see if it'll focus for me here, should have a little divot, and you can see the divot is right at the top of my finger. It's right at the tip of my finger, using the fleshy part of my finger, not the flat part. So if you're using the flat part, you're going to get that sound. We want to curl our hand over like a claw. Curl over like a claw to really get that good pressure. All right, so that's our C major chord. The next one we're going to learn today is our A minor. So in A minor, if our notes and our strings are G, C, E, A, but an A minor chord has to have the notes A, C, and E. We need to get rid of that G. So let's take a look at our G. If we go up 1 fret, so we have G, and up 1 to 1 fret, we have G sharp or A flat, same thing. But we need an A, not an A flat. So we're going to go 1 more to the 2nd fret for our A. So now we have A, C, E, A. And do we hear how that's not sounding major, is it? That's our minor chord. Okay, so that's our minor chord, A minor. And we use our 2nd finger for the same reason we use our 3rd finger here. It's to help us switch as we go. And when we learn one of our other chords, we're going to discover we just have to move 1 finger for that one. So same thing, making sure it's pressing down so we don't get that one. And we're still a nice little curve claw over top. All right, let's look at our chord structure here in our standard notations. We have A, C, E, and A. So our note for string 1 and string 4 are the same. String 1, string 4. All right. The reason this one is minor is because we have a C natural. So in an A major key, we would have a C sharp. But because we've lowered it by 1/2 step and we have a C natural instead of a C sharp, we have a minor chord, a creepy chord, a sad chord. C major, happy, A minor, sad. All right, let's do some practicing with that A minor chord. We're going to do 4 strums on the A minor chord. Then we're going to count 4 beats of rest and switch to our C major. So let's start on that A minor. 1, 2, 4, strums down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest, find the C, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest, find A minor, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest, find C major, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest, find A minor, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you might notice that when I'm switching, I don't actually lift the other finger until the next finger is on. Right now, you might need to go a little bit slower to get that change, and that's okay too. Just remember, pressing down, coming around as a claw. Let's do that one more time where you guys can see me from a slightly different angle so you can see the claw of my finger. Let's start on C major this time. 1, 2, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, rest, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, rest, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, rest, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, off. All right. So now we know 2 of our chords. This is where we're going to stop for today. So for part 2, next week, we're going to introduce the chords. Good to focus here. We're going to introduce the chords F and G. Now, I'll warn you right now, G is hard. I'm just going to say that right now. G is a tough one, but it's going to be okay, and you'll be able to do it. And we'll go through some tricks and tips next week. But right now, you're just going to practice going from F to A minor. Once you can do it with 4 beats, try it with 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Once you have that, try taking out the rests. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then, if you're feeling real good, 1 and 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 1 without the rest. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you have that really strong, then adding in F major is going to be super duper easy, and adding in G major is just going to be a matter of figuring out how to make your fingers move the way you want them to move. All right, until next week, guys, enjoy practicing your 2 chords for ukulele. If you are already knowing those other 2 chords, awesome possum. Practice those 4 chords together in a big ol' mix and maybe teach yourself a song or 2 before next week. Next week, once we know F major and G major, we will stop at that point. And then for the third one, we're going to start doing some play along. So make sure that you've got these chords really, really strong, especially for this week, our C and A minor. All right, guys, have a good week. See y'all later. Bye.